The Object 268 version 4 and the T110 E3 are so similar in terms of playstyle. So in today's video, I will be covering which one is a better tank and hopefully in the future, which one you should be getting. Let's jump right into the video. Now before we jump into the statistics of each tank and comparing them, I want to point out there is a little difference for each tank that may make your mind, it may pick your mind for you. And this is for the consumables. Now, they both have different consumables. The Object version 4 has the reactive armor, and the T110 E3 does not have the reactive armor, but instead it has a improved speed boost and a reticle calibration. So at the end of the day, you need to pick one that you'll prefer with its provisions. Personally, I think the reactive armor is amazing for the OBJ, especially for a TD, since it doesn't have many hit points. That consumable can, make you last longer in the match. So I think the reactive armor is a lot more effective, but that's just for me. But now let's just jump into the statistics. So let's just start off with the OBJ. What's it got going for it? Well, we'll save the armor for later, but now let's just talk about its gun. So it is unique at tier 10 because it does, for its alpha AP, it does 690, which is quite a hefty amount. Most of the times you will be rolling at least 700 damage, which is very damaging for your AP. And then for your heat, you were doing 600 damage dead on. So I'm quite surprised why that is not a bit more, but I feel like it'd just be a little bit too much broken, but it is what it is. High explosive as well at 800. Now, not a lot of people may not know about this, but your even though your AP alpha and your caliber is bigger than any other, not the mouse, sorry, I'm trying to find the E100. Even though your gun is bigger than the E100 with bigger AP alpha, the E100's HE at 960 is still bigger. That goes for the VK72 and the grill and all those sort of tanks. They will have a bigger HE alpha. And also, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Let's be honest. Let's be fair. This tank dealing, 1,000 damage in front of you would be quite ridiculous. So I can see why Wargaming did it there, for obviously because of the balancing factors for this tank. And also the dispersion, it's not the best. The aiming time as well is not the best as well. Gun depression, 5 degrees. You can't really work hills. I wouldn't really recommend it. So it's just more of a flat-on tank on the ground, unfortunately. Anything else? Top speed, 38. Which is actually quite good. The reverse as well at 20, which is amazing. Average speed as well, you just go 28, but you do go more faster. I will say that your average speed is a lot more faster than 28. You will be going at 38 or 40 even sometimes, so yeah, just keep that in mind. Your whole turn rate as well is better than the T110 E3 at 32.98, which means that medium tanks and light tanks will have a hard time trying to commit to the circle of death. So yeah, that is pretty cool there. But yeah, that is the OBJ for you. Now let's jump into the T110 E3. So what's the T110 E3 got? It's got a similar gun to the OBJ, but instead of having the alpha, it has DPM instead. So the T110 E3 has DPM, whereas the OBJ version 4 has alpha. So you need to pick which one you prefer. But the OBJ doesn't have all the alpha, obviously, because its HE is only like 900, no, not 900 something, it's 800 damage, when the average damage for its HE for the T110 E3 is 960. So yeah, you need to consider that. But yeah, the aiming time is 4.5, so again, it's similar but a bit better than the OBJ 268 version 4. Anything else? The penetration is 295, which is better than the OBJ, because the OBJ only does 280 millimeters or something like that, or 270, which is not really the best for a tier 10 TD. So yeah, your gun is just a lot more better. Mobility, top speed, you go 35. the OBJ is a lot more faster than you, in my opinion. When I'm playing the tank, in my opinion, I feel like the OBJ is faster than you. So that's just it for its speed there. The whole turn rate as well is quite good. It's not the best, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not better than a Badger, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's it for the speed. Now let's just jump into the comparison between the two tanks, and we'll jump into a replay. Now, jumping into comparison of the armor profiles between these two tanks, I'm also going to put the pros and cons whilst showcasing the armor, so you guys get a good gist of what tank has better in, for example, the gun or anything like that. But yeah, talking about the armor, we're going to start off with the OBJ. What a tank this is. When you see this tank on the battlefield, you'll see a tomato. That is literally what you'll see. It is so red. With using your AP shells, you will not penetrate it. You will not penetrate it. Unless you go for the hatch, which is only the little part here, which is at least 140 millimeters thick, which, let's be honest, anything can pen that. But it's actually really hard to hit, because if you shoot here, which is spaced armor and is not part of the tank, you will bounce. And also, if you shoot the lower part here, which is a little bit more troll, or if you just shoot from the angle, the side angle here, you will bounce as well. And also, obviously, if your shell hits here, it's going to be an auto ricochet. So you need to be careful, and you need to be a lot more careful on aiming on that cupola, because, you know, it's a very hard shot to try and attempt. Now, the face of the OBJ may not be as good as the T110 E3, simply because it's flat and it's not like a curve like the T110 E3, but it's, you know, it's still angled at a bit, which does increase the armor, sitting at 300, I think 340 millimeters. It looks like the top looks like you can get to 350, maybe using enhanced armor. The sides as well on here is 400 millimeters, and again with this tank, what you want to do with the OBJ is face your opponents at all times. I'll showcase that during the replay, but yeah, the upper plate, this is the best upper plate in the game. 800 millimeters, practically 800 millimeters. Nothing in the game will get through that, absolutely nothing. And if you angle that just a bit, just a little bit, you can actually reach up to 999 millimeters, as you'll see there. Just angling, using your gun depression, your plate is just, you know, it's insane. Your bottom plate is quite good as well. It's the strongest bottom plate in the game, in my opinion. 330 millimeters, so yeah, nothing's going to go for that. Your frontal armor overall is absolutely better than the T110 E3. Your side armor, however, is... it's troll here on the spaced armor, but anything else, you know, it's easy to hit. And sometimes easy to ammo rack as well, because you can get ammo racked pretty easily, which could be a factor in this tank, that it's easy to ammo rack. But now, let's jump into the armor profile of the T110 E3. Now, moving on to the T110 E3. Now, you may have noticed what I pinpointed out, that this tank has more gun depression, so this is going to be another pro for the T110 E3. It can use its armor a lot more effectively than the OBJ can, because, you know, you can go hold down in it with its gun and you can do really well. So that may be a factor you might want to consider for the T110 E3. But there is one downfall about this tank, and it's not really its problem. It's just it's the same for every American tank, and the issue is it's a boat-shaped hull, which means that even though your frontal armor may be good, your side armor is paper, which means even at the tightest of angles, people will shoot this close track wheel and they will penetrate. It's kind of hard to show. I think they did buff the track wheel a little bit, which is quite good here, but you'll just shoot the track wheel and you'll pen. That's just how it goes for the T110 E3. It's just the frontal track wheel is so weak, and that goes for any American tank that has a boat-shaped hull. Shoot the front track wheel and you will do a lot of damage. But yeah, as I did say though, the cheeks on this tank, the frontal face, is not flat. It's more of a curve. So that will make your armor a lot more effective. As you'll just see here, it's like 400 millimeters, 700 millimeters. The closest to the gun barrel is 340 millimeters, which is still very, very thick. So yeah, your face is more armored than the OBJ. However, your upper part of the hull is not as good, but it's still good. But it's just not as good. I mean, you are 300, you are like 400 millimeters of upper plate, so you shouldn't really worry. But yeah, that's just one part to cover it. Now, unlike the OBJ, you do have a weak bottom plate, a very weak bottom plate actually, and it is quite easy to get there. I mean, easy to shoot. The thing is, it's troll. If you wiggle it, you can, get some bounces on the bottom plate. But if you angle it like that, then you're just making it more easy to penetrate. So your bottom plate is, it's still a weakness, and you need to be wary of that. But for the OBJ, that is not the case unless they use gold. Now, the side armor is way worse, way worse than the OBJ in every single aspect. And so it's the same goes to the rear. It's just very bad indeed, very, very bad. So that's it for the armor profiles. For now, I do think the OBJ is a better tank in terms of armor. But now let's jump into the Zt110 Replay. So we're going to be starting off with the OBJ and talking about what the pros and cons are about this tank, and then we'll be comparing it to the T110 E3. So what's good about the OBJ? Well, it has definitely the best armor profile in the game so far. It is completely broken. The armor profile is not broken. Actually, no, what am I saying? It is broken. The armor profile in this tank is broken. It is very powerful, and some may say this tank is overpowered as well, and I can't really disagree with them. And what makes the OBJ so good is its alpha. 690 damage. People are going to say, well, it's only like, 40 or 50 more damage than 640. But trust me, 690 hits hard. It is a very nasty shot. And you just saw that with the WZ. We just shot an alpha of 721 damage, and he's lost practically all of his HP. And there's the i7. Against an i7, they can't penetrate you, so they've got to use HE. And because of that, they've only done 56 damage. This tank is overpowered. It is completely overpowered. But yeah, there goes a WZ. I'm not so sure why he peaked that. I think he just gave up in the end, which, to be fair, you can't really blame him. But yeah, I mean, we just done it. It's like, what, under 2 minutes in the replay, and we've done like nearly 2k damage, and we haven't done much shots. We've just got quite lucky with our RNG. But you will, when you're playing the OBJ, you will average 700 damage every time you shoot. You will average that 700 alpha, which is pretty cool there. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna try and push this E100. We're gonna try and help out our WT, because I do think this E100, my WT will struggle against this E100, which seems to be the case. Unfortunately, our heat shell does miss. I was hoping that was going to connect, but the accuracy, you can't have a good alpha and a good accuracy. That just can't work out. Unfortunately, we can't put our reactive armor on time, so we are going to take that nasty shot from the E100, and we do bounce that as well. Now, the armor is good in this tank, but you're not indestructible, okay? You will get penned now and then. People will use gold or even use AP. I still don't understand till this day why people, oh, sorry about that, guys. I just don't understand till this day why people shoot AP at the OBJ. Maybe they're just trying to go for the hatch, or I just don't know. I just don't understand why they wouldn't just go for another target. But yeah, it's pretty stupid in the first place to fight the OBJ forward on, because you will not win. You will not win. And that was a lovely shot as well. 800 damage nearly, and just look how much HP that FV215B has lost. This tank is a hard hitter, just like the Jageru and just like the FV183 Death Star. This tank is considered as a hard hitter in my opinion, because it does so much damage. And for 14 seconds, you're just getting, a second more for doing more alpha damage. I don't think you're losing much. You know, in my opinion, I do think the gun on this tank can be more lethal sometimes than the T110E3. But yeah, that is the OBJ replay. 4K damage almost, pretty good there. Pretty good replay. Second class, I think it was a second class. Yeah, it was pretty good replay. Yeah, as you'll see there, second class did it quite well, and yeah, top teammate. But now let's jump into the Zt110 E3 replay. So let's just start it off, you know, and as you'll see here, we're just going to be using the speed boost. For me, I tend to use the speed boost because it is given to the T110E3. I tend to use it at the start of the battle so I can get into position more quicker, which I would recommend, because if you're in position at the start of the match, you know, you can help out your teammates and you can have a good start, and the good start of the battle will determine who will win who will win the game. So yeah, using the speed boost at the start of the battle, I will always recommend. But yeah, we get a lovely shot into that IS-7, and you'll notice that we only did 540. If we had the OBJ, the likely chance of us getting 540 is very rare. So just pick that in mind, that your alpha damage, you will do higher rolls in the OBJ than you would in the T110E3, which is obvious because, well, the OBJ has a better alpha. But in my opinion, the T110E3 has a better accuracy, in my opinion. The T110E3 has a far better accuracy. Unless you're having Russian bias, then I still believe that the T110E3 is, you know, better in terms of accuracy. And like there, I do feel like the OBJ would have missed that. But yeah, the IS-7 gets destroyed. And this is where I think the E3 does better than the OBJ, personally, is that in hold down position, as we're playing right now, it's just so powerful. And even though you have a weak bottom plate and your armor may not be as good frontally than the OBJ, if you just put it in hold down position, you'll do absolutely superb. Yes, we're getting penetration, and yes, he is shooting my bottom plate, as I did say, it is quite a big weak spot. But if you can hide that and you go hold down, you are impervious. The enemy can't do anything against you. And that's what's so good about the T110E3, is that it's just such a good tank. It's just really amazing. Now, unfortunately, I do not know where that shell went. I think like that was more of a skill issue or some sort of RNG issue right there. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing to worry. I mean, we are sitting at 3k damage in like 2 minutes. So that was this replay has been a lot more faster than the second replay. No, the first replay, sorry. So yeah, that's it for there. There goes the M60 on the enemy team. And now the Vickers is going to push. I wasn't going to go for the HE there because I already knew my HE wasn't going to pen the front of the Vickers. So the Vickers is going to push now. And so we've got to be a little bit more careful. We could load the HE here. Unfortunately, I thought that Vickers was peeking at the bush. But it turns out he wasn't. So yeah, I mean, that does suck for us. Yeah, but now the Vickers is going to use gold to pen our bottom plate. Now, if the OBJ was in this situation, I could probably actually take up this Vickers quite easily, because one, I wouldn't be a one-shot because, well, my traverse speed on the OBJ would be better. Plus, he wouldn't be able to pen me as easily, as you'll see there. All the penetrations I did receive was at the bottom plate. So yeah, keep that in mind, that you will bounce a lot more than the OBJ, and in my opinion, the OBJ is a lot more forgiving in terms of front newbie players. But yeah, that was the game. 4k damage, so we did more damage in this replay here, and second class, just like the OBJ. So overall, what tank is better? In my opinion, the T110E3 is very strong and is very workable because it has that gun depression. And the speed boost does allow it to get into position only fast at the start of the game. But overall, I do think that Object 268 version 4 is a better tank. Mainly because its armor profile is better and that 690 alpha damage can do so much. It can have a good impact on the game. The 690 damage really does hit hard on a tank. No matter how much HP they have, a mouse E100, 690 damage can hit hard. It can do so much damage. And not just that, it's also quite versatile and quite mobile for how much armor it has. It is quite insane and it is very overpowered. It is definitely a very powerful tier 10. But don't get me wrong, the T110 E3 is still a very strong, and still could be considered one of the most best texture tanks in the game. But yeah, guys, the OBJ, in my opinion, overall is better. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.